For the audience, who are you? What do you do? Why should they care what you have to say?
So I'm Jacques. In the last 15 years, I have been running an agency called Raindrop. First big breakout hit was Dr. Squatch.
Like, what's your hit rate? When you guys finish a video and you're like, this will work.
It is like Major League Baseball, where it's like our home run rate is higher than everybody else's, but it's not like all of a sudden you're perfect and everything's going to go right.
Dr. Squatch was an amazing story. We've all watched that explode.
There's always like a cheaper way to do everything. And so for someone, I think, give you a sense, like a performance organic is like 30 videos for 30 grand.
Fully VO3 ads for direct to consumer, I don't think it's going to be great, but I think it's going to be great for making cartoons.
I think humans are going to actually have an allergic reaction to AI.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Operators Podcast. We're here with Jacques. He is the CEO, co-founder, guy in charge over at Raindrop Agency. So they make really high-performing, high-quality videos. We've done campaigns with them. He's on the show because he was very early working with Dr. Squatch. When they were doing $3 million a year, he was doing their ads, and news just broke. They got bought for $1.5 billion. He's going to tell us that story. He's also the very first check in Groons. He didn't say that. I'm saying it for him, but he's an early investor in Groons. They also just made the headlines. They just raised $500 million. So it's exciting. We talk about what's happening in long-form ads, long-form creative. What's the future of it? Who's his ideal client? What does he see work? We're going to go through all of that. At the very end, we're going to talk about AI and creative. I think it's cool. I think it's exciting. It's a different show, but I'm here. Matt's here. Jacques here. And we want to thank Fulfill, the #1 sponsor on earth. Rich Panel. I use them for customer service. Postscript. I use them for SMS. I'm sure all of Jacques' clients use all those tools. They also use Northbeam for all of their measurement, and we use Ceres Analytics for our data management. We have all of that cool stuff going on. If you're an e-commerce brand, join ECF Fuel. We shut down our Slack group. We moved it over there, and we have a newsletter with 10,000 plus subscribers. We have spin-off shows, all this. Let's get into the show. Matt, anything you want to say?
Just like and subscribe on every platform that you're on. We forget to ask people to do this. Like, come on. Basic stuff.
We have dozens of likes on every video.
Yes. We're shooting for 27 by Tuesday.
I was going to hype you up during that intro, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow. My God. Here, let's go. Let's do this.
Professional podcaster. Let's jump into the show. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, this is an ad for Fulfill, one of the partners of the pod, and you're going to get to hear from one of the best operators, Chad Janis, talking about his experience implementing Fulfill with Groons. So Chad, you mentioned that like scaling operations has been a huge part of your success. How have you scaled? What partners, softwares have you used? Fulfill's a partner of the pod, I think, that you use. Tell me a little bit about your experience scaling with them.
Yeah, it's probably about 6 to 8 months ago, we realized that we needed a ERP. We built the business off of like Google Sheets and primarily like Google Sheets. And then we had some like internal engineered solutions that were helping us out. And we were deciding between NetSuite and Fulfill. And frankly, when I was an investor at Summit Partners, we had encouraged, I don't think we were aware of Fulfill at the time. I mean, this is back in 2021, 2020. And so all of the brands that we ended up investing in, we would tell them like, hey, we're going to onboard a NetSuite. And it would take a year. We had a person at our investment firm whose job was ERP implementation. Like literally he would spend a year with the brands, helping them with ERP implementation. And it was a slog. And we'd always come to the end a year later after we invested in this business. And they'd pop up and be like, okay, it's mostly done correctly. Here are some things. But literally all this guy did was helping brands with ERP implementation. And, we're growing so fast that wasn't an option for us. Like, I don't know what we're doing in a year. I can't take a year to put an ERP into our systems. And so we were chatting with the Fulfill team. We onboarded with them. I think it took less than 2 months. So speed was highly critical here. Our COO sat down with them. He spent most of the time onboarding and going through that process and felt really compelled with our ability to do it. And it was a precursor for us to be able to do some of our own fulfillment. So historically, we've used 3PLs. We now do a lot of our fulfillment in-house. So absolutely critical part of our system. As I mentioned in the pod, we also do production in-house now, part of our manufacturing process. And so Fulfill is critical for all of that. every system has like little things here and there, but the speed at which the fulfill team, when we have an issue, pops in and solves it, I can guarantee you're not getting that from another solution. So they've been great partners, critical to our growth, and will continue to be critical to our growth into the future.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Great partners help you go fast, and they help you open up capabilities that make your business more valuable.
As you can tell, we're a very professional podcast, right? So there's four hosts.
But, you guys are on like episode like 120 plus, I saw. So congrats on that. Holy smokes.
We've been doing it for years. I recommend anybody who wants to get into the podcast game, just make sure you can do it for like 100 episodes, because a lot of people start one and like they get like 15 episodes in and it falls apart. The advantage of having so many co-hosts is that somebody will be available. This week it's just me, but some weeks we can get all of them together. That happens like once a year, I guess.
Well, I got the best one, and I can say that because you're the one here.
Dude, you know what? I think the comments are going to agree with you. But Jacques, we've known each other for years and years. For the audience, who are you? What do you do? Why should they care what you have to say?
Wow. Okay. You're going to put that on me to explain to people. Here we go. So I'm Jacques. I've always been a storyteller for my entire life. In the last 15 years, I have been running an agency called Raindrop. And I think the best way to say it is that, we have always been into creating brands and content that break through the noise. A lot of agencies say that, or a lot of people say that. We have a track record of doing it over and over again. And our first big breakout hit was Dr. Squatch. We were 7-8 years into the business at that point. But that was, advertising where we saw, wow, like this is what's possible if you tell the right story and you do it in a way that converts and sells. And then since then, we've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible brands. And, I don't want to start listing them because I'll leave them out. But we have been, we're a creative agency. So we don't buy the media. We are a creative agency, and we create omni-channel campaigns. So YouTube, television, Meta, TikTok, all the places you need to be. And we do it for everything from direct-to-consumer brands all the way to retail-only Procter & Gamble owned brands, right? Like the whole gamut. And in the last couple of months, it's been exciting for us because, when we started with Dr. Squatch, they were a $3 million company 5 years into their business. And they just sold for over $1.5 billion to Unilever. And then because of that experience, we started investing in brands like Laundry Sauce and Grunes, where we were there pre-revenue, just an idea. And Grunes just hit a $500 million valuation in 20 months. And so the news has been exciting for us to be a part of the last month or so. And I think the final thing I'll say, you asked like, who am I? I don't know. I guess we'll find out over the next hour. But I will say, and I think it's important, I'm a fan of this podcast. I can't say I listen to every single episode, but I've listened to more episodes of this podcast than any other. I loved the one you guys did recently on likability. I thought it was fantastic. And I think that anyone who takes the time to listen to this is doing that thing that you have to do to make yourself 1% better every single day. And that's what it takes to win as an operator. So I know you guys know that, and it's a gift that you're investing the time to do that today. And anyone listening, like, good on you, because this is how you win.
Jacques, yeah, dude, you're one of the most likable guys in D2C, so that's why we had you on here. Typically, we don't have vendors, agencies, whatever on here, but one, you have some really cool, exciting news, right? And we want to hear the story of, you worked with Dr. Squatch when they were doing literally $2 million a year or whatever, right? So we want to go through that entire arc and then talk about the sale. You've also worked with a lot of large, you said public company owned, right? I think you guys do the native campaigns.
Our biggest clients right now are native. So now a competitor of Dr. Squatch, which is why in the last year and a half, we don't work together anymore. And Spruce, which is another Procter & Gamble owned company as well, all retail forward.
Let's take a quick pause. What's up, Matt? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, boys. Hey, yeah, happy to. I got out of drop-off duty with my kids, so I'm here.
Dude, thanks. I thought I was gonna be Jason, but he ghosted.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm happy to come talk to Jacques, like 100%. all the time.
Good to see you, Matt.
Likewise.
All right, man. So Dr. Squatch is in the news, $1.5 billion sale. I know Josh on the team. He plays tennis with me. Guy is an ace. He's killing it.
Yep.
Let's kind of talk through, like, how'd you pick them as a client, or was it just like they wanted to work with you? Like how does someone actually find you, and what was their first, campaign like? How big were they?
Yeah. Well, so to rewind in time, this was about 7 or 8 years ago. And at the time it was just Jacques. So just the founder. They were just around $3 million a year in annual sales, 100% on. Now, when I say Meta, it really was just Facebook. It wasn't Instagram yet. Like, they hadn't figured out Instagram. They weren't on YouTube, other channels. And so just Jacques. And at the time, we were introduced by one of Jacques' mentors, who was it was interesting. He was a big fan of the way that we thought. He was like, these guys think different. I've seen them do it with so many different brands. Jacques asked me at the time, do you know anything about direct to consumer? I was like, nope, I don't. Like, I remember where I was sitting. I remember him asking me that question and just being like, I'm not going to tell you that I know something I don't know, but I can see at the time, I think what we saw was this guy was making ads that were about his why as a person. Like, he started this brand because he had skin conditions, and a lot of the advertising was, I have the skin condition, and it healed it. And it was like very niche, very small. And our pitch to them was like, we need to find a much broader audience if you're going to grow this brand. Even at the time, just thinking to 10 million from 3 million, right? Not even thinking about it going to hundreds of millions and $1 billion+ exit. It was just like, the next logical step is, we need to broaden the audience here. You've been doing this for 5 years. We have to do something different. We can't keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And he was like, okay. Like, he really took I hate to say a flyer on us, but it was like, there was nothing about us at the time that said Raindrop was going to be this thing that helped Squatch take off, right? There wasn't anything special there. We just happened. He was living in San Diego at the time, and he was like, "Let's do this."
Cool. All right. So $3 million, the first campaign. You guys are famous for having the Dr. Squatch actor. You guys put that guy in like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of spend. People have seen that guy's face everywhere.
Yes, James. Yes.
Yeah. Was the first ad good? Like, did it work? Like how did they actually scale so fast?
What happened was, we did a couple ads actually first with Mike Langsdale. Mike's the hot guy that is the like co-star that doesn't have a lot of speaking lines from here, that he's just like, he's using the soap. And we did like a mean tweets thing in the shower, and like, it did okay. Like, we were doing some stuff that, like, we're kind of like seeking in the right direction. But as we're going back and forth, and I think this is an important thing. Like, if there's one thing I can tell anyone listening, like the one thing that I've noticed over and over again was, we kind of just got to a point after maybe 4 to 5 months in, where Jacques was like, let's just go big. Like, let's go big. And we're like, okay, let's go big. Like, let's do it. Right. So what does that look like? And so we start coming up with like, okay, well, let's do something a little bit longer format. Let's go big. Let's have fun. Let's be funny. Mike, one of the actors, was a guy that I went to high school with, and I saw him waiting tables and was like, all the girls thought he was so cute. Do you want to be in a soap commercial? James Schrader, we like serendipitously found, we were at a bachelor party for one of our editors at the time. And this guy was like, had just won San Diego's Funniest Person. And he just fit the vibe of, he was masculine, but not in like in a way that was off-putting. Like, he was an everyman, and he was funny. And so, really those first script was just like James. It was James, Drew, who's now our creative director, and myself, just like writing a script together. And we went out and we filmed it. The original version was probably a minute and a half longer than the one that ended up making it live at the time. And so we edited it all down. And I remember looking at it. I mean, we were 7-8 years into advertising, and I remember looking at that edit, and I was like, it was one of the scariest moments of my life because I was like, well, if this doesn't work, I don't know if advertising's for me because this is awesome. And, I was like, man, this thing's awesome. And then I showed it to, a friend, and they were like, and it's 3 minutes long. They're like, it's kind of long. And I was like, well, that's the point, but okay. And then I showed it to like, another person in the company, and they were like, it's kind of long. And I was like, okay, people, I get that it's long. It's 3 minutes. So we put it out originally on Meta, and it does take off. Like it I think it scaled to 20 million views in paid spend, right? But it eventually kind of plateaued and kind of did its thing. And I won't get into all the details, but there was another brand at the time who was whispering over to Dr. Squatch, like, I think there's some opportunity on YouTube. Like, you should put this thing on YouTube. Puts it on YouTube, and then it scales to hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. And that was the unlock, right? Meta just kind of hit a natural plateau, put it on YouTube, and it ran for 2 or 3 years. And then we subsequently made more and more campaigns. And then like the fifth one was the one that just took them to another stratosphere. That was the 5-minute one. That probably has 1 billion plus views scalably, grew them by hundreds of millions in, a very short period of time, which is what led us to doing the Super Bowl ad and everything else. But it really was just getting people endeared to the brand, getting them excited about it. Then they started doing licensing deals with Star Wars, and that took off. So you could see where the momentum just kept building around not just being a product, but being a brand that people loved and that they bought.
Jason, what do you like about Ceres? You were gone for the past week in Italy. Were you checking Ceres dashboards?
I wasn't checking anything in Italy, but I will say this, like whenever anyone on my teams, like growth team or anywhere else, like sends me data anymore, it's likely coming out of Ceres. And every once in a while, I'll get something from them and it looks really slick. And I'm like, where'd you get that? Is that Ceres? And like, yeah. And I always feel really good about our investment. I do get a daily email of some metrics out of Ceres that comes through. But one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is AI. Duh, right? Everyone is. Duh. But like, I finally woke up a few weeks ago. I was like, I got to get serious about this. And I was actually talking to the Ceres guys, and they launched the next generation AI powered stuff in their platform, which I'm excited about. It's Ceres IQ. It's invite only right now. If you mention Operators Podcast, you can probably get access, hopefully. But the next level of all of this is first with AI, you need to have all of your data somewhere. I mean, it's going to be really messy to just drop stuff into different AI platforms. If you have your data in one place, and then you can really leverage AI. So the way I thought about our investment in Ceres Analytics was getting all of our data in one place, understanding our customers better, understanding our marketing metrics better, but then being able to layer AI on top of that is, I think, the really exciting next level here.
You brought up bringing in Costco, Amazon, and Shopify. The ability to have all sales channels with the same data is so important. If you're listening to this and you sell on Amazon, you know how painful that platform is. You have to wait like a couple extra days to pull your reports. Like the SKUs aren't the same as the rest of your SKUs. Like the titles are different. So like to get actually like clean data to compare, it's very manual. Using Ceres Analytics, they matched all that up for us. So like they cleaned all that data. So I can actually look at what is the true margin profile of an Amazon sale. What's Amazon return rate? What's Amazon customer frequency? Like all the type of data compared to our .com, and have like a comprehensive overview. And now with their new AI tool, I don't have to look at it. I could just ask it. It could just tell me cool questions. So doing that across our 5 Shopify stores as well. We have an EU Shopify store. So now I can compare EU Ring customer cohorts versus Canadian Ring customer cohorts versus Amazon Ring customer cohorts. So now we're getting to different functions of my business across different channels, different categories, and actually looking at the margin, the repeat rate, and like, is it worth investing in these different things? So if your business starts to feel like a spider web and just like keeps going and going and going, it's just like this nonstop proliferation of different channels, maybe it's time to check something out like Ceres Analytics.
I remember, Sean, at the very beginning, this is a very typical Sean thing. Sean was like, what is this? Why do I need this? Right. And I'm actually really happy that you come to understand like how important having a data warehouse is and what it does for managing your business, because you were not like a true believer from the beginning.
No, I was angry when you told me I needed to pay for something new, but Jason was right. He convinced me. He got me on board. I'm using it. So a rare Jason W. So thank you,
Exactly.
Jason.
Very rare.
I'm on Ceres Analytics. He's on Ceres Analytics. Proud sponsor of the Operators Podcast. So if you want a data warehouse and you want an AI powered data warehouse, tell Ceres about the Ceres IQ feature, and then you crave it. You're demanding you get access to it. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. I want to go back to actually the first thing you said. So that was an awesome timeline for Dr. Squatch. But you said the first ads did okay. You're not actually doing the paid media. So how does that feedback get to you, and what does okay look like? Right. So for everyone listening, you are just a creative agency. You're going to come up with concepts, you're going to shoot ads, and you're going to deliver those to their internal team or some agency partner, and they're going to run it. And those people are going to give you feedback. But when you're like, hey, I delivered it and they only did okay, who's telling you that, and what does that actually mean?
Yeah, well, and you have to remember at the time, that was 7-8 years ago. So at the time, I just had to take Jack's word for it. I mean, what was he saw it as, was it hitting my CAC or ROAS goals, right? Which isn't that different, right, than how people see it now. But at the time, it was just like, hey, I have something I put in. Is it beating what I had in there before? Right. Just 1-to-1. And so over time, what we've noticed, it's interesting because I'm not a media buyer, but now that we've had YouTube specifically, we've had 20 campaigns scale more than 10 million views. Right. And I'm like, okay, now I understand if the buyers are, I would say, like, they understand the platform, they understand how it works, how to get it to convert. I can ask like 4 questions, and immediately I'm like, yeah, these people have no idea what they're doing. It's pretty jarring when you talk to you do this work, you give it to somebody, and then they're like, it's not working. And then you ask them these 3 or 4 questions, and they're like, oh, sorry, I don't know. Like, so over time, we've gotten more aggressive with clients about saying, hey, this group or this person doesn't know what they're doing. Here's why. And then they'll switch it, and it can make all the difference. All the difference. I mean, I'm telling you, time and again, it goes from dead on arrival to scaling. It could be that drastic.
Jacques, how you said something like you made that ad, you made that video, and you're like, I know this is going to work, but if it doesn't, I'm done with advertising. Do you have a sense for how often you guys are right? Like, what's your hit rate when you guys finish a video and you're like, this will work? Are you?
Yeah.
How often are you surprised that it's like, shit, that didn't work at all? Like, that was just a dead on arrival.
It's a good question because there are a couple factors in it, right? I mean, It is like Major League Baseball, where it's like our home run rate is higher than everybody else's, but it's not like all of a sudden you're perfect and everything's going to go right. It gives you a better like shot on goal percentage. I'm using a lot of sports metaphors, but I would say there's only been maybe 2 or 3 times in my career so far where I was like, this is a great ad, and it didn't do what I thought it did, even after going through the steps of making sure it was being run correctly. For instance, we did one for Scene Hair Care. I was like, this ad's great, and the insight's great, and it just never worked. It never scaled on any platform. And I to this day, I'm like, I don't know why. Right. There are some that I'm like, this ad's okay. Like, I give it a 7 or 8 out of 10, like, to my standards. And then it went on to do, tens of millions of dollars in sales. And I think usually when that happens, it's because as much as we try to stay objective, sometimes we're just not the core demo. I'm not a woman 65 plus. And so if a brand's 65 plus, we have to change the way we talk to people. And sometimes that ad is just not as big and bombastic, but it's still interesting. And then it works. Like when we made Lexi hearing aid ads, it was hard for me to be like, whoa, this is going to change the game. And then when they went on to, raise $100 million and go, right? So sometimes it's hard when you're like, your barometer it's hard for me to have a barometer all the time with everything. There is a formula though to like the fact that you have to get attention and you have to move people towards an action. And that's just true of all direct advertising.
The best ad shot ran poorly, won't perform. How do you resist the urge not to do the paid media? Because like you're kind of like you're kind of making a great cake, but then you're giving it to somebody else to ice. And like, what if it's spoiled? You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot could go wrong in that final presentation.
Totally. I mean, it's a good question. So we did do paid media for a couple of years. This is like right as iOS was shifting and changing, 2021-ish, 2021, 22. I mean, I'll be pretty blunt with you. I mean, remember that whole like great resignation moment? I think we had a team of 7 or 8 people, and no one lasted longer than 2 months before they got poached for double the money somewhere else. It was just like, at that time, it was exhausting. It was just like, man, every time we got a new buyer, we'd hire them for like 90 grand. And then Pinterest was like, here's $180,000. And I'm just like, this person's not worth that. But you remember that environment. It was just nuts. And there was just a moment where I was like, Adam and I were talking. I'm like, this is not what I think about in the shower. I'm not the 1% world class at this. Like, and so what happened was we started giving some of these campaigns over to a couple. So we work heavily with a couple agencies, OMG Commerce and Attention. And it's like, they were able to, because the founders were not going anywhere. They were able to keep consistency, grow those accounts. And over time now, it isn't, I hate to put it this way, but the bigger and bigger we've gotten, the less that people, like, for instance, Procter & Gamble doesn't expect us or want us to run the ads. They have global media buying agencies. And so I think we looked at it as like, well, with where we're headed, Ridge is never going to outsource their media buying to us. Like Lomi's probably not either. Right. So it was just at some point, it was like, this is what we can do world class, and what people can't do internally is what we do. And so I'm like, okay, but people can buy a couple media buyers and do things in-house, especially once they learn how you're structuring things and doing things. So that was just there's not like a good reason. We could continue doing it. We could buy a media agency, but ultimately that's what we decided, at least for now.
Yeah, the separation of church and state makes a ton of sense, right? Like if you're working with, very large clients, there's also like a level of, respect being like, hey, you run the media. We're not going to try to influence you and tell you our stuff's doing well. There'll be an unbiased observer who will spend on our creative if it works. Dr. Squatch was an amazing story. We've all watched that explode. I mean, people should listen to podcasts with Jacques. Maybe we'll have him on here. But massive cash out, dropped off the face of the earth, and then he let Summit take it to these new heights. And I'm sure it's going to go on to be a massive generational brand, bigger than Native. But you also work with Native. You kind of hinted at that, like you had to choose one or the other. Is that because there are competitors in the aisle? Like, is that a choice you made?
Well, it's an interesting thing, and this is just true of all business here, and that is, everyone, as they grow, they start to swerve into each other's categories. And as an agency, like we're never going to tell our clients that we're never going to stop them from growing. It's like, I'll use Ridge as an example just because you're here, Sean, and it's easy. But it's like Ridge was a wallet company, and then they were a wallet ring company, and then they were a wallet ring luggage company, right? And so what happened with Dr. Squatch and Native is that at one point, there was a point where we were working with both of them, and they were only like $150, $200 million in sales each. Native was selling primarily just deodorant, mainly to women, and Dr. Squatch is selling mainly bar soap to men. Two very different things. Both of them have grown very rapidly. I think Native's much bigger than Dr. Squatch right now in terms of actual sales. Because there is just a bigger buying demo for Native than there is for men's soap. I mean, I think in general, even though you have two genders, the people willing to spend more on deodorant, body wash, hair care tends to be more feminine. And so as they both grew to be $1 billion plus brands, it just got to to a point where it was like, all right, we also were working with Lumi at the same time. And there's just a point where they all start swerving together. And, it just came down to, with Dr. Squatch, everything and everyone had changed, right? Like Josh got promoted up. I loved working with Josh. He got promoted up to CMO and then now to president. And Native was investing in us and taking a big part of the future with us, and we're doing big things with them now. So it was hey, where is the momentum leading? Even though we were such a big part of that journey up until that point.
That's cool, man. Look, you do something that is incredibly unique and different in the space, right? Let's kind of talk about the difference of Raindrop. So in my ad account right now, I have hundreds, if not thousands of ads, right? And then that's static that my graphic designer is doing. That is UGC content. It is influencer content. It's partners ad. It's edited content. And what I've always respected about Raindrop is being like, we're not going to do any of that. They're like, we're going to do narrative formatted creative, right? It's going to be higher production. It's going to look really nice. And then we'll make cut downs. So like it can have a UGC feel. It can have these other feels, but it's really centered on this flagship piece of creative that then we're going to make work on these other things. Is that still the thesis today? Is that like is that the sales banner you're going out there with?
Yeah, I want to make sure we're on the same page, because I think this is important to hear for operators. When you say in my ad account, you mean what?
Like Meta. Let's just say Meta,
yeah,
right?
So
yeah, because YouTube's a different animal.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing that we run into is with brands is like, and okay, I'm gonna see if I can make sense of this. Okay, so we all realize like 17% of all commerce happens online, and which is a shocking statistic after COVID, right? I'm just like, what? Like, still only 17% of stuff. And then I'm like, well, how much of that stuff is Amazon and Walmart.com? Like, and how much does that leave the rest of us? It's one of those things where I started realizing, like, okay, well, if we're still in a moment where 80+% of stuff is bought in the store, those sales aren't happening on Meta. Meta's great for direct to consumer. It's a channel that you have to win in. The brands that grow past typically $50 million have figured out a secondary channel that can help them scale. I can't think of many that haven't. And I will say that, it tends to be that in order to win on those other channels, you have to be able to tell your story well, right? So television, connected television, YouTube, like unless TikTok's the other channel, like there's not really a lot of other places to drive, a sense of sticky awareness that then gets people to buy in real time, but also allows you to win at retail. Like the work we're doing for Spruce and Native and Tongo and all these other brands, like their KPIs have nothing to do with, driving CAC, right? In fact, in many cases, they're like, please don't buy it on Amazon or through us because we want our retail partners to win. They bought stuff from us that we have to move. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, as there's always going to be an image that will perform well on Meta. There will always be a UGC piece that will perform well. Neither of those are necessarily brand building. They sell products. They pay the bills. They're bread and butter. But they will never create a Dr. Squatch-like outcome. They'll never create a Groons-like outcome. They'll never create a Poppy-like outcome. They just won't. Like, you can't get there. Even looking at what Hexclad did, by investing in Gordon Ramsay and going up funnel, they've changed the perception of their brand drastically. And it's like Meta drove the sales and the ability to invest in more, but that next level is almost always narrative driven. I hope that answer makes sense, but that's how I think about it. It's like, you need to have great meta creative. A lot of that can be done either in-house or with great partners that can create great images and, great UGC pieces.
Okay, it's no secret that margins are getting squeezed and profitability is a challenge for brands in 2025. Not a secret. That is where Northbeam's profitability benchmarks come in. It's a new feature. You could check it out. This is a tool from Northbeam that tells you the exact targets that you need to hit to get to profit inside of Northbeam. So no more guessing, no more month-end financial surprises. Hitting these targets helps you ensure that your ad campaigns are actually driving the right behaviors to make your business profitable. That is wonderful. The brands that track this stuff probably already do in Google Sheets. I know I do. I'm going to be checking out this Northbeam new feature. And Northbeam is a big level up from this. And here's what sets kind of what I have seen. Here's what sets profitability benchmarks apart. So instantly you get to quantify your goals into clear benchmarks. Every ad gets measured against those targets right inside of Northbeam. That's kind of cool, actually. And you see, and you can kind of at a glance see which ads are doing well, which needs to go against profitability benchmarks, not just ROAS or whatever else you're using right now. You scale up the winners, you cut the losers, you know the drill. It is hard to argue that this is not great for brands. Profitability benchmarks from Northbeam is like having a speedometer in all your channels, campaigns, ads. You can kind of see everything at a glance against profitability, not something else. So stop leaving money on the table, fuel your creative performance, make every ad dollar count in every channel, hold them all to the same standard. If you want to reach out to Northbeam, just let them know the operator sent you and they will take good care of you.
That is super interesting. You see a lot of brands, and you brought up like $50 million as sort of a cap for like Meta, like advertising D2C focused. That's great. People should hear that, right? You know, Ridge probably got to, we were bigger than that when we were just spending money on Meta, selling stuff on our.com. This is where I think category is so important, because none of the brands you mentioned were selling wallets in stores. Like that doesn't really exist. It's very CPG focused. But out of all, like, so let's talk about your ideal client coming to you and like where people should avoid you. And you said like $50 million, you're making a push into retail. You need people to remember you when they're not looking at their screen, right? That's kind of like the key thing. TV is a big part of that. And the unique thing about TV buying is it's not like Meta. It's not really an ad auction. You might give them 5 pieces of creative and they're just going to run whatever, right? Correct. So like you have to actually have a point of view when you go to that. Like you can't just like you spray and pray. Is $50 million still the cap? Is that where you see people like struggle?
The way I think about it is what that cap is going to look different for every brand. And I'm not telling you anything, it's like, okay, what is the lifetime value? Is it consumable? Is it a non-consumable? What are your margins? Like there's so many things. I can't pick a number. I just think that there's a point where brands feel it. Like they know that like, if Meta's having a bad day, my business doesn't work. I'm like, that's not a good place to be. Right. And so I would say most of the brands that we're meeting that are ideal have, figured out. I mean, we do launch quite a few brands, so I'm not going to sit here and say that this is needed.
I was going to say, I can see this working early on too, Sean. I think it's just like a level of risk and investment.
Because what
Raindrop does is not inexpensive.
Right. Well, I think about I'll just shout him out, Chad Janis at Groons. Like he came out of the chute and he was like, I want multiple anchor campaigns. I want to go big from day one. I want brand to be a moat. I'm not selling a product. I'm selling a brand. Like, and we went. And then it worked and we went fast. And we went hard. Right? Most people, they take 6-7 years to be like, oh no, like, do I do it? And he was like, what's the point of doing a company if I can't go fast and hard? And then he did it. And I'm like, I admire that. I'm not like that. I wish I was. But holy smokes, when people think that way and it works, it goes, right? Like, so I don't know how you want to put it. It's like, I think there isn't like an ideal client size. I think it's more of a, what is your goals? What are your mindset? And frankly, like, can we be successful with them? We turn away 99% of people that reach out, mainly because they're either too small or their expectations for what they're hoping we'll do is a Hail Mary. And that goes back to Matt's earlier question, like, how often are you successful? I'm like, well, way more now, because we're like, can we be successful with them? Or what, if someone calls me, like someone reached out yesterday and they're like, hey, we sell sunscreen and we want to invest in this and we want, a couple $100,000. I'm like, you got a $14 product that like is seasonal. Sorry, it's not that it can't work. It's just that what we do can't rapidly grow you. I can't take your money. And so, we're assessing how successful we can be with people, before we sign them up. I would say 10 million tends to be the place, like in run rate, where people are like, okay, I understand my ideal client profile. I understand what's working, what's not. And then as it gets bigger, the risk obviously goes down because they know more and more about who their client is, or who the customer is. And we're talking very CPG focused right now, but we're doing stuff for SaaS as well, and other groups that sometimes they have much like fewer clients, but much higher LTVs. And it works great for them too. It's just like, it's age old. It's like, tell your story in a way that entertains people and educates them. And then over time, hope that that wins. I will say I wouldn't expect our work to change your meta account forever. That's not the goal.
Okay, so let's talk about Groones. You brought them up. So 2 big pieces of news. Dr. Squatch is getting bought. Groones is worth $500 million in like less than 2 years. You were an early investor in Groones. You saw Chad, you saw what he was doing, and you're like, I gotta get in on this, right? So what made you so confident it was going to work? And how's that return looking? Is it like you got like 100xer or what?
Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, I mean, look, the number one question that I got for Adam and I, my business partner, got for 4 or 5 years was, hey, did you own part of Dr. Squatch? Like, you guys were so intertwined early on. You helped. I'm like, no, like, we got paid to do our job. We did it, and I have no, I don't have a regret about that. Right? There was no seat at the table. That wasn't it. Right? But it did open up opportunities for us to help launch Laundry Sauce and launch Groones. And there's a variety of factors that we're looking at. Honestly, it's like one day I'll come back and tell you why exactly we invested. I can't yet. Maybe when they exit. Because I think that I will say this. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what am I really selling? And so with Dr. Squatch, I remember we're in a boardroom and we have this thing up on the wall and they're stuck. I'm like, Jack's there, and we're not selling soap, man. Like, if you want to buy 15, 20 bars from Costco, you can get it for like $20. And that's like 2 bars of your soap. If we're selling soap, we're dead. We're dead. Like, we're not selling soap, not to people in mass. Like, we have to sell something more. We have to. Just like Liquid Death is not just selling water. Like, they're selling something more. It's a sense of self-expression. It's a sense of joy, right? Ultimately, that's what we sold with Dr. Squatch. It's the only product that brings people joy in the bathroom for men, right? It makes people like think about the commercials, makes them laugh. Now they have these crazy collabs, and like, people will legitimately smile looking at their soap. I'm like, what's joy worth? It is very valuable, very valuable. It's like, if we're always looking for like, can what we're doing have an outsized return in what we can actually sell, the self-actualization of the consumer? Can we do that? So I've invested in Laundry Sauce, right? Laundry Sauce I'm like, this is a chore that we're turning into self-care. That's crazy. Like, this is a laundry product that people will gift to one another. That's crazy. Like, this is a whole different way of thinking about this category, and it's something you're going to buy anyway. So then, by definition, it can be disruptive. And so, again, that's examples of like how and why. Of course, we're thinking about things like what channels can it win in? What's the CAC payback? What's the LTV opportunity? What's the extension plans? Like, all those things go through our heads too. I mean, I would say ultimately, you asked earlier about Raindrop. I'm like, what makes Raindrop so successful is Adam and I think like operators, even though we run an agency, right? Like, we're thinking about these things in ways that like Ogilvy's not, even though they have incredible creative talent, and Leo Burnett, you know what I mean? Like, they don't even know what an LTV CAC ratio is when they're ideating. And so it feels like an unfair advantage going into what we're doing now.
How involved are you guys still? Like, because your team's quite a bit bigger now than it was with Dr. Squatch. And, when you guys bring on somebody new, this is always such a challenge with like service business, right? I mean, I had it in my agency when I owned it, is how do you stay in the weeds? Or like, how do you zoom in the right places? Like, what's the secret? If it's the secret sauce, like at the top, like a lot of agencies, truthfully, there's no such thing as good or bad agencies. There's only good or bad people at agencies. Like that's the truth of the business model. So like you could get a bad person at a really good agency of otherwise great people. So like how do you guys manage that?
I think the best way to, I guess, describe that is like we're still not that big, right? Like we're still, I think, just under 80 people. So we're not like this massive 300-400 person agency. So that's one. Our team is incredibly experienced. And we have been really fortunate to grow and retain great talent. Like there's very, I'm trying to think, like there's no one would come into our agency and not be working directly with someone who worked on Dr. Squatch or Grooms, right? Or Native or Spruce. Like, you know what I mean? So there's never like a case where it's like, oh, you just have some random junior person. And I will say, like, we just had a call someone that's been like kicking the tires with us for like 2-3 years. And they're just like, guys, every time we talk to you, your pricing goes up. I'm like, yeah, like that's a reality. Like we can't keep flat pricing and then keep our team together, So like that's been a reality of it. It's like, yeah, our pricing has gone up at least 15 to 20% every year, and it will continue to. I have no doubt, because I'm going to, until there's a max out, I'm like, there's still, depending on how you look at it, with the potential outcome, it's still a great value of what a great campaign can do for you. But at the end of the day, like there's just no world where someone's not getting people who know what they're doing. And I take personal pride. I watch every single ad that comes out from us over a certain threshold, like just because I care, right? Like it's, I don't watch every single UGC. We do what we call performance organic and UGC. Like I don't watch all those videos, but anything that's like a highly produced piece, I mean, even if the client approves it and I see something that I don't like, we'll still go back and edit it, right? Like it's not like, well, client approved it. It's like still not right. We got to make it right.
Yeah.
And so there is a reality that we have a group of people that care at our agency and take pride in the work. And it's hard to quantify or see. It's just a reality.
So I just want to break it down for the audience, right? So we have people listening, they're doing between 10 and $500 million, right? Across every single possible e-commerce and CPG product. But really, I think where Raindrop, what you're saying you're looking for and like really would make successful campaigns is high repeat products in legacy categories that are kind of boring, where you can bring fresh ideas and breadth and really let brand shine, right? So Groons, these are like Flintstone gummies, but for the modern day, right? You have Dr. Squatch, which is like Irish Spring, but like with fun and colorful collabs attached to it, right? Native is the same thing. You got the unicorn ads. Like you're taking boring categories that are sold mainly in retail, but have D2C that got them to like 50 million, and you're helping explode that brand across all of this. Now, that's the top layer. These are going to be long form.
Hold on. Before you go forward, Sean, the way that you just did that is what makes you, dude. I was like, holy crap. Yes. Like, yes, that's correct. Have our team write down our ICP after this podcast.
Beautiful. Thank you. But what I was going to say is that is where the long form, like top of funnel brand campaigns are going to work. You're going to put those on connected TV, linear TV. You're going to buy NBA playoff games, and you're going to run YouTube long form ads on top of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're going to take all of that and you're going to make cuts of it, and then you're going to mix in UGC. I think you called it professional organic or whatever.
Performance organic.
Performance organic. Let's talk about that side of the business. So we all understand this big top funnel campaign, right? Ridge has done a couple of them. Lomi Kickstarter was exclusively that, right? Like these big, beautiful brand campaigns. Let's talk about like where the rest of the market is going. Where is the meta ads going? You said, UGC, performance creative, organic, whatever you want to call it. What mix of the business is that? And what are the clients doing over there that's working?
Yeah, well, okay. So I think the best way to think about where and how it works in is like, we just did a big campaign for Meiji Yellow Panda. We did a big campaign for Function of Beauty, where they want to create an overall campaign in a campaign message that then infuses its way into every single channel in like a unified way, unified voice. And so that's where we would get involved, right? If it's like, hey, we want statics in UGC, and we call it performance organic because it's concepted and shot on an iPhone, but it is an ad, right? It's not just like a social video. It's meant to convert and sell. I would say what we tend to see is like, look, there's always like a cheaper way to do everything. And so for someone, I think, to give you a sense, like a performance organic is like 30 videos for 30 grand, right? Well, it takes a team of people who come up with the ideas, they're concepting it, they're getting those approved, like they're going through all the things. A lot of people are like, look, I'm just going to have an internal person at my company who's just going to source UGC, and then we're going to give it to an internal editor, an external editor. It's like what our agency does is take all the strategy and the heavy lifting off, and people are paying a slight premium to do that, or they just don't have the internal capabilities. Like I'm just, when you look at performance organic, it's like it does work well. Like those are the ads. Performance organic and statics work incredibly well on Meta, and the beauty of it is if you make 30, I just need one or two of those things to absorb $150,000+ in spend, and it's a win, right? You're not like
That's also a great price. I mean, like, look, our internal team, we have UGC professionals, people who manage it, the whole thing, and I mean, our cost per video might be $600 all baked in, right? I
will say we don't tend to do performance organic for people as like a standalone thing. It's usually part of like a broader ecosystem. Because again, when people come to us, it's like, and I think I can't stress this enough. I mean, I'm going to say this out loud and it's going to sound crazy. For every 300 inquiries we get, we take two clients, right? Which I never thought I would say. And like, we could change our business to be a UGC factory. It's just like, at some point, I'm just like, can we be successful? Because that's what we're trying to build. Like we want long, successful relationships. And that just is probably a me thing, to be honest. Like there's a lot of people would be very happy, just like, yeah, I have a $20 million UGC company, right? That's probably a me thing. I want to be very clear. That's not like you shouldn't do it. People shouldn't do it. But we typically wouldn't do performance organic as a standalone. We usually would do it as a broader campaign. I'm not saying we wouldn't, but that's not he says a great price. So I'm like, it's a great price for someone who is like, yes, I'm going to do a campaign and you're going to do the top level creative and it's going to reach into all these channels and you're going to do it all. Like that's where we shine. It's mostly the add-on item, right? You have to buy the main course before you can get dessert. It's kind of what it sounds like. You got to be doing a campaign with you guys and then you can add this on. I think it's more so what can create a long-term relationship that delivers outsized value, and it's not going to be performance organic on its own every quarter. Operators, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming up. Is your SMS list ready? If not, get on Postscript. They are helping us drive 14% more email signups through their better opt-ins. They're helping us get 6% more SMS subs every single day because they have perfected the art of pop-ups. You need to build your list. You have to nurture your list. You have to take care of your list. Postscript is the best at that. They're the number one name in SMS. It's their number one revenue driver. We are excited and ready to take advantage of all of the lists we've built all year, okay? Postscript has the best opt-in of all time. It is single sign-in, password autofill right on your phone, and we're going to get probably another 100,000 people to sign up between now and the end of the year. We're going to use those people. We're going to use SMS to nurture them through the funnel. It's an amazing tool. I love it. Make sure you're ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Postscript is here to help guide you through everything that you need when it comes to SMS. More opt-ins, more list building. Make sure you don't look like an amateur this BFCM. Use Postscript. Tell them Sean sent you. Tell them the operator sent you. Postscript will audit your SMS program for free and show you how to scale fast before Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits. When we talk about list growth, that's what you have to use before, during, and after Black Friday. You want serious gains. You want Postscript. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I just want to this idea of the large hero sort of video, like large campaign.
Mhm.
If you weren't in, like, if you didn't have Raindrop, is this something? It's hard to answer this, but like, is this something you're like? I think consumer brands in general should be thinking in terms of like larger campaign moments. Sean, I'm likening this almost to like your sweeps. Like, you guys create a moment every year and you do like a massive creative production around the moment, the campaign, right?
Yeah.
And I'm almost thinking like that this kind of like you invest in this sort of campaign in the same way, as instead of benchmarking it, Sean, against like creator or UGC or like any other ad creative investment. Is that the wrong frame? Like, is that the wrong comp for this? Like, should you actually be looking at it more like, no, this is like a sweeps. Like, I'm going to put a lot of money into this because it's like, I'm going to create a moment in time. And I don't know, Jacques, if that's for you or if that's for Sean, but like, I just sort of, that's what's coming up for me.
Sean, you go first.
Yeah. Okay. What I was going to say is, we've worked with Raindrop for a lot of stuff, but like Jacques said itself, it's like baseball where, you know, if you hit a 300 in baseball, you're going to go in the Hall of Fame. That means you're missing 7 shots. You know what I mean? Like, and the reality is like, you should treat it like a sweeps, but we need to make sweeps successful. So there's like a lot of iteration and it's a very quick feedback loop where like it's taken us 5 years, but I think the sweeps will do like, I mean, maybe $50 million in 45 days, right? Like, it ends up being a big, big event for us that is totally, didn't exist 5 years ago, right? And so it gets better and better and better. Where these are more of a lottery ticket, right? So like sweeps, like we have to hone it in, we have to make sure this works. But like, you're going to do a Raindrop campaign. There's a 3 in 10 shot that it's a massive success. Then there's probably like a 5 in 10 shot, like it's okay. And there's some shot that it flops. But you can't bet the farm on that. I think Jacques, you even said that when you have people come and be like, hey, this is our Hail Mary. We need you to like fix this for us. And it's like, you're going to say no to those clients because this has to be part of a different strategy, right? So Matt, I think you should definitely maybe plan on doing one like every Q3 into Q4, especially if there's like an additional kicker. What are the kickers? If you're a CPG product and you're going, like, we have a big tech business now, right? So for iPhone launch, we're going to be in Verizon and Best Buy and AT&T and all these places with our iPhones. I should probably have a Raindrop ad that goes live like in August 15th that just shows all of our phone cases and says you could buy at those places, right? And it's funny and it's engaging because there's some other way to win there, right? If Best Buy sees the ad, they're like, oh, these guys actually care about us, right? There's additional ways to win. Right. So that's the way I think about it. I think Matt's totally right. It is like an investment that like you should make it a campaign, but it can't be like sweeps where like sweeps has to work. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
I guess maybe sweeps is, I'm using sweeps, Sean, as like the only thing that's coming to mind for me as like a lightning strike moment for you guys. But this idea of campaigns. So here's where I'm coming at this from, Jacques. I don't see anybody talk about this in D2C. Mm-hmm. Like in consumer, people do not talk, and like the idea of campaigns. If I say the word campaign, they think that little row in Facebook Ads Manager.
Totally.
That's what they think, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who has been around for longer than 36 months in this business, or it's basically before Facebook ads, a campaign is not that, right? Yeah. Like it's typically a moment in time where you're concentrating a serious amount of resources and around a narrative, and you're trying to like, you're basically getting attention, as much attention as I can for the dollars invested in that campaign. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why we've lost the plot on this in consumer, but like every large brand does this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like every friggin' one.
I'm gonna mirror it back to you, but in the way that I think about it. I'll say 2 things. Most direct to consumer people I talk to, and it's like basically what everyone wants is they're like, how can I swing for a single and maybe hit a home run? Like it was like the number one question I get on every call. Like, so like, is there a way to like test into this and figure out? And I'm like,
totally. That's
what UGC and Status are doing in your Meta account. There is no way to bunch your way or take a soft swing into winning on YouTube, connected television, and beyond. There's just not. Like, I just don't, I've never seen it. I don't. So what you're really investing in with a campaign is telling your story from your brand tone of voice. And for some people, for the first time ever, and that's not the case with Lomi and Ridge, by the way. You guys have both done it, right? But you've also, maybe you didn't do it early on, maybe as you grew. I would argue for Lomi, you had to. It was baked into.
We actually did it. Yeah, like we invested a lot in a scripted hero.
Yeah,
like launch
and
video.
because you had to win, and your big spend isn't on Meta, correct? It's on other channels.
It was, yeah. Right. I mean, we're relaunching Lomi 3 right now. It's like 3rd gen, and all I'm thinking about, same as Sean, is like we have to like actually, because we don't have inventory yet, but we have to start planning for this for Q4. We actually have to say like, okay, how are we going to pull off like a big relaunch of the product to the market? Like, what's that story? What's the narrative?
Right.
Like, who are we talking to? And like Sean, we have a large retail rollout coming with that. So like, there's just a lot of stuff that's going around for me. And I guess I'm old. I think in terms of like, you should plan on some kind of buying moment, like a campaign,
a reason to be loud with your brand and to matter in that moment. I'll also just say another thing, because there's so many operators listening. It's like, the other big thing that D2C doesn't do well is like, yesterday was when you should get started for Q4, right? Like people tend to wait until like 6 weeks. I mean, the number of calls I get in like August, September, like, hey, so we really we're so excited to work with you, but we need it done by like November 7th. And I'm like, yeah, no, we'll see you next year. Like, it's like the number of times that happens with operators, because we tend to think in like quarter to quarter, sort of like, I'm not putting all of us in the same bucket, but like quarter to quarter versus like, oh, okay, I have something on my calendar for June or July that says like Q4 is coming. Now's the time to pull the trigger. So I laugh because I'll be talking at in 3 weeks at Google New York, on a variety of topics. I'm already thinking like, oh man, it's already too late for some of these brands who are going to be there and they're all be all fired up. And then it's like, and now it's August and they're behind the ball on Q4.
What's funny though, like, and Sean, you probably see this now because you guys are doing Best Buy and Verizon and all this. Retail does not operate on like quarterly schedules, right? Like when you're talking to a Best Buy, like Sean going into Best Buy, like this Q4, that was set last Q4. So like in the world of consumer goods, it is just us idiots in D2C who try to operate on like daily and weekly plans.
Oh yeah, no, very clearly, it's a D2C thing. It's not retail is always
it's
a year
just
ahead.
The ones who are like, I sell things on the internet. Like we run into our first wall on scheduling when it comes to product development. Like as a software guy that came into consumer goods 20 years ago, I was like, what do you mean you can't ship it next week? Like, but I had the idea today.
Yeah.
Like, what's your problem? Like, just make it, right? You have a factory. It's like, no, that'll be 18 months of development. That's how long it takes to make a product. Right. So like that was the first wall you hit with consumers, like you have to make it. Then the second one is you go into retail. You start talking omnichannel and all of a sudden Target's like, yeah, we'll slot you in spring 2027.
I'll just say you're giving Best Buy way too much credit. Verizon, 9-month POs. Best Buy, 4 days. They're like, please ship us more things. But no, you're totally right. We're operating on way tighter feedback loops.
I guess, Jacques, for somebody who wants to work with you, how far out should they be planning?
I mean, ideally 4 to 5 months. I mean, that's the ideal time frame. I mean, things can always be accelerated for certain reasons, and I say that because it is a process. There's no quick way to, well, I shouldn't say no quick way. It's just not the preferred method. If you're going to be investing in a campaign, putting your story out there, it is a process to get there. It's not like hey, we talk once, we come up with scripts and we shoot it. Like that's probably what most produce, companies and agencies do, is they probably talk to somebody, write a script and try to produce it. It is an entire process from, we spend 4 to 6 weeks just thinking about the concept before we write a single word. It's like, it's a whole thing.
Do you have other creatives, whether that's agency, individuals, like where do you guys go for inspiration? Like, is it because like you don't exist in a bubble, right? Like there's so much great creative out in the world. Is there, do you just sort of, do you have like places you look for it, or is it just when you see it, you're like, we need to put that into some kind of like idea bank because that was genius?
Yeah. I mean, my barometer for me, I mean, I spend a lot of time on organic social media, and I'm constantly, whether it's just like a simple, like an effect or like, you know, I'm gonna regret saying this, but it's so true. It's like, I watch the way Sean tweets and like posts on LinkedIn, and I'm like reverse engineering, like, okay, how can that be an ad? Right. Because I'm like, you know, what he's doing pokes the bear at certain, like, oh, this thing about salespeople that he tweeted should be a hook for an ad that I do 3 to 6 months from now, right? Like that's how crazy my mind is. I'm not looking at other ads. I'm just looking at attention and what people are responding and engaging with. And so that's usually what we're bringing back is like, without attention, you have nothing.
Do you guys work in office, Jacques? Sorry. Are you guys all in a same space together, or are you remote?
We're mainly remote. I mean, obviously we have 2 studios in San Diego, and we have a lot of people that like shoot and work out of there, but the team is largely remote and the collaboration happens largely remotely.
Okay. I was going to make this a comment around like scrolling social. My content team, because like we work in office together, like they sit outside of my office I'm in right now. It is hilarious how often I will walk out of here to get a coffee and I just see everybody sitting there on their damn phones and they're just scrolling. And I'm like, I can't believe I pay people to just watch it on the internet.
That's like being mad at Kobe for being in the gym, bro. Like,
yeah, I know.
You know, they're just doing their thing.
I had a friend of mine at our candidate a party that he was like, doesn't that bother you that there's like that you pay kids to sit on the internet? I'm like, not really. You know, like we live in an attention economy and all they're doing is figuring out how to get more.
Your next great campaign might happen on the toilet in your own office. That's a weird thought. Matt.
It probably did.
Oh gosh.
You might remember that Ridge switched to Rich Panel about a year ago. Since then, our orders are climbing, yet support tickets aren't. Rich Panel's self-service portal now lets 47% of our shoppers solve their own issues instantly. We used to answer every single ticket with a person. Now, that one change is on track to save us $500,000 in support salaries just this year. Our customer satisfaction is at an all-time high. It's above 96%. And we're doing that with less people, with more orders. AI is all the rage. E-com operators are finding ways to leverage AI and improve the revenue per employee. Ridge targets over $2 million per full-time employee, and Rich Panel is helping us achieve that goal. Rich Panel offers one of the most straightforward ways to leverage AI and improve your bottom line. Here's how Rich Panel's AI is different from anything else out there. First, Rich Panel spends the first 24 hours just learning your past conversations. Then it takes all that knowledge and creates self-guided service flows. There's no chatbots, there's no hallucinations. It is just exactly what your customers need to see and hear to solve their problems immediately after that first 24 hours. Our team saw the impact on day one. We're getting more tickets. They're being resolved faster, better, with a higher level of competency and a higher level of satisfaction, all with less people on the team. So if you're serious about boosting revenue per employee and freeing agents to do higher value tasks, book a demo. Switching is painless. They do data migration. They train the staff. Everything's handled. It's a white glove service for operators listeners. Brands like Ridge, Jones Road, Pila, Lomi, they're all already switched and they rely within 2 weeks. They guarantee 30% ticket reduction in the first 60 days or your money back. Think about that. You're going to get a bunch of customers coming to you. Q4 is just around the corner, and they guarantee 30% reduction in human tickets in the first 60 days. If that's interesting to you, go to richpanel.com/demo to book a demo. That's RICH panel.com/demo. Get started today. Thank you so much, Rich Panel, for supporting the world's #1 e-commerce podcast and being on the greatest show on earth. Let's get back to it. All right. So it'd be irresponsible if we didn't talk about AI. So, Jacques, VO3's out. People are, I mean, I think it was Kalshi. It's like a betting or like prediction market.
Yeah. Yeah.
like the whole ad was just, you know, AI generated. So is this a positive for you guys? Because you guys could storyboard faster, right? So when you have ideas, you could actually come up with concepts and see something quicker. Is it a negative because it's devaluing the creative economy? Like, where do you land on the whole argument?
This isn't going to be, this is a very, this is just the way I tend to think. I would say I don't tend to go to either extreme. I'll give you an example. PJ, who is the guy who made the call sheet ad, sent that to me before it went live, right? Like, we're super close. I've known him for 5 years. I always knew this guy was going to be special. Like, he was just someone I've been in my world and ecosystem. And I think ultimately right now, I think AI is a powerful tool. And I think it's one that for brands can be wielded very positively to up level work in a big way. You know, we're already trying to figure out, like, great, we have this shot. How cool would it be if we could basically use it for VFX, like within our ecosystem? Like, how can we do things that would be fun and unexpected? I think where it's going to be a challenge, especially for brands, is nothing repulses people more than AI saying, I understand you. Right. Or like, and so so people get real weirded out when they feel like they're on the outside of the inside joke. Like the Kalshi ad, if you go to the comments, people are still very, you know, mixed about it. And it worked for them because, like, all attention is good. They're bombastic. But man, like, if it would be so off brand in my mind for Lomi to come out with an entire ad of like AI people, it's like, it would really, really, really be the opposite. I saw Volvo make this mistake, Toys R Us make this mistake. And so to me, it's a weapon to be wielded. We are 100%, like, I see it as something that is going to allow us to do things that before were incredibly time. Like, our ad that we did for Spruce, you know, was a massive ad and has CGI dogs and, like, it was a whole thing, right? And so I'm like, well, it's going to allow us to up level our production and do things that are even better. I'm not worried about how it might make UGC, fake UGC, and everything else. Like, we're already using it to up level our production, to do scene extensions and to build worlds. I'm excited about it, but I recognize that it's going to come with a lot of risk, and it's going to come with having to be mindful about it so that it doesn't backfire on you as a brand.
Sean, do you think there's real brand risk with AI videos for a lot of brands, like fake people?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that it probably creates too much variance. Like because it's so easy to create stuff, you might create a bunch of stuff and then, like, you could have conflicting messages. The ads could just not actually mean or stand for anything. Like, that's probably the biggest brand risk I see. Do I think people are going to be mad about using AI ads? I think it's a very vocal, small percentage of the world, but like, it probably it's kind of like a fire hose or whatever. Like, it's just like, it'll be too much coming at people, where, like, you really just want, like, a very direct, clean message. And then you want to be able to amplify that message, right? Like, when we see this, we create a ton of ads right now inside of our Facebook ad account, hundreds and hundreds of variations, just to find the one that actually works. But then that one is still, like, the message we want to tell, right? We want to get spend behind it. And yeah. So I think fully VO3 ads for direct to consumer, I don't think it's going to be great, but I think it's going to be great for making cartoons. You know what I mean? Where, like, there's just, like, less, it's less weird, less icky.
I think B-roll, I sort of think I'm with Jacques on this. Like, I think humans are going to actually have an allergic reaction to AI. Like, I think societally, you're already seeing it, that, like, our cultural immune system is going to respond to this stuff. And I do wonder if we are going to see Instagram start to have, like, an AI verified check mark, or like a verified human check mark, with, like, who is a real person and who is not. And I guess I'm just looking at this like internet tea leaves, you know, like every single post on X has a "Grok, is this true?" comment on it. Every single post.
Yeah.
Like, "Grok, is this real?" Like, I just saw a clip from Charlize Theron on Call Her Daddy, and it's like all of the comments were, "Grok, is this real? Or is this AI?" And I'm like, that's Charlize Theron. What do you mean? I do think culturally there is an immune response coming. And I agree, Sean, that I think as a brand, you have to be very careful with this idea of like fully fake AI people and ads. Like if you're building a real brand, I think this is a proceed with caution moment. If you're just straight up like, I'm going to direct response and sell some crap, and I don't really care about if this is like a longevity thing, like I don't care if the company's sustainable or not, knock yourself out. Like that's just an arbitrage game. Use every tool you can to drive all costs into the ground. I just think that for real brands, you got to be careful. Like Jacques, I'll send you some screenshots of how my team used it in one image on Instagram. It's the most viral we've been all year, and not in a good way. Like we got destroyed.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like if you're hustling and you're just like, you're getting started. Yeah, bro, embrace every tool that gives you leverage. Like do the ChatGPT ads, use the fake influencers, whatever. But then when you're actually at scale, you just heard it's $30,000 for 30 videos. I'm like, that's not that much. You know what I mean? Like 30 videos, like that you could spend, we're talking about spending millions of dollars against that, right? Like, look, it's creative ends up being, like less than 3% of overall marketing spend. So it's like, yeah, like it's not solving that big of a problem, I guess, right? Like if you're getting started and like, if you're a kid and you want to make a cartoon, fantastic, run for it. But like as a brand, I mean, dude, if you want to get famous people in there anyway, you're going to be spending tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it just, it's a very weird spot to attack. But
I do think there's like a AI so far, it seems it's not even just like the quality of the video. You can just tell when something is AI, like as a human being. Like something goes off where it's like, that's fake.
I will say, I don't expect it to be that way. I don't. Like, I do think that it's already to some extent, in certain ways, indistinguishable if you're able to do the prompting well. I mean, that's the big thing is when I talk to PJ, it's like his prompts are like 20,000 words or 2,000. It's like something crazy. He's not typing in like person picking vegetable from garden, right? Like he's prompting on a level that like most people can't comprehend. And so I do want to make sure to say that I don't think it's necessarily will it get to the point where it looks indistinguishable. I'm like, that's an inevitability.
Of course that's going to happen. Yeah.
I just think that, again, at the end of the day, if Volvo had like, go and Google like Volvo's first AI ad. I watched it and it was just like a bunch of B-roll put together with music and an inspirational thing. And the ick of it all is like, these are not real people with real aspirations that you're showing. And we know that. And so therefore, like, it's repulsive. Same thing with Toys R Us. You're selling nostalgia and childhood. And then you're like, look what we made with AI, a fake kid playing with a truck. And you're just like, God, does that feel off? And so I'm like, right now it's the storyline. Like, wow, Kalshi made this with AI. In the future, it'll be like, wait a second. Can you believe that Lomi, which sells like, recycling, your produce and everything else, is like out there using inorganic ways of making their ads? Like you already saw it on your feed. It's like, it really depends on the brand. And certain brands, like energy drink brands, will be able to make AI, stuff for days and weeks and years, and no one will care. Right.
You know who I don't want to be? I don't want to be the brand who makes an AI character famous. And all of a sudden people are asking for that person's agent, and they want to interview them. Like, I just don't want to be the person who blows up a fake person and then has to be like, so about that, Jane is not real.
Dude, you're gonna have paparazzi digitally coming after you.
Like, that would just be
Well, look, the world's crazy. Smarter people than us are going to solve those problems for us. But Jacques, here's your section to plug. We're an hour and something into the podcast. So if people want to reach out to you, you have a podcast, you do work for people, you have awesome stuff to talk about, you have a Twitter. Plug it up, man.
All right. Well, here we go. First of all, thanks for having me. And it's so nice to call you friends. And the two other folks that weren't here today, Jason, Mike, I mean this wholeheartedly, and it's going to sound so cheesy, but so true. It's like being able to call the four of you a friend, someone I know, someone I can text, means the world. Like I feel like we have already achieved success because of that. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me. I am on every single platform. I have a meager X following because I don't have anything witty or smart to say, or honestly controversial. I think that's the other thing is like, I don't know. I'm not a controversial kind of guy, or if I have those opinions, I'm just like, nah, the world doesn't need me to be like a Walmart version of Sean. So I'm on X. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Roast me now if you want, but a lot of our clients are on LinkedIn. And then you can reach out through the website, of course, and we would love to see if we're a fit. I mean, I truly that's the way we go about it is getting a sense of like what are your goals and aspirations, and can we help you get there?
Is it Raindrop.agency? Is that the domain?
It is. Sorry. Okay. I just assumed people would be able to figure that out.
The company name is Raindrop.
HTTP / Raindrop.
So there will be a link below. Thank you, Jacques, for coming on here. I think it's really awesome what you're doing. We've done campaigns. Maybe we'll end it with a montage of all your best ads coming together. So thank you for what you do, bud. Thank you for being here. Exciting news, and thank you for making it to the end of the show.
Yeah, it's great, Jacques, to have somebody on, because like that is sort of like counter to the narrative around creative in D2C with like creative, right? Like how should creative be done? I think this is great. It's just fun to always bring on like the edge case or the other way to do things. So appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
All right, that's the pod.
All right, guys. That was fun.
Your body wash is a synthetic detergent, but you're not a dish. You're a man. Switch to Dr. Squatch Natural Soap for Men.
You know what really chaps my hide? Dry skin.
Time to hydrate your raw hide with Dr. Squatch Natural Lotion for Men.
And join the millions of men who've already switched to Dr. Squatch.
Whole body deodorant with unbelievably long-lasting scents like coconut and vanilla, cucumber and mint, and lilac and white tea.
Clean, effective hair care that leaves your locks moisturized, full, and strong with just 10 simple ingredients. They have a treasure trove of scents like coconut and vanilla, cucumber and mint, and my personal favorite, the sea salt and cedar 2-in-1. Seize the day!
The snackable, packable wellness gummy that packs the comprehensive nutrition you need into this guy right here.
Introducing you to evidence?
Ingredients like apples, kale, blueberries, parsley.
Not only are Grooms gummies real gummies without gummy filler, they're also tasty.
Laundry sauce, the world's best smelling laundry pods.
People just can't get enough of this Indonesian patchouli.
French saffron, Australian sandalwood,
Egyptian rose.
Get out of my life, you beautiful smelling pod!
Your laundry detergent is pathetic. Now this is more like it. We work with world-class perfumers to craft high-end luxury fragrances. Our long-lasting, ultra-concentrated formula is lab-tested to make sure it cleans as good as it smells.
All right, thanks for making it all the way to the end of this episode. Wherever you are in the world, it is awesome to have you here. If you do not already subscribe to this show, that is my one ask, is please go to whatever platform you are watching or listening to this on. It could be YouTube, it could be Spotify, Apple, I don't care. Just go hit the subscribe button. Please pump our egos up. It helps. And before we go, one more thank you to the sponsors, Fulfill, Postscript, Northbeam, Ceres, and Rich Panel. Awesome guys running these companies. We all use them. These are our vendors. That's the only reason they're sponsors of the show. So thanks again to those people.